A big reason why people decide to live in Pensacola instead of South Florida is because we actually do get some seasons here. The question is, what does fall look like and how cold does it get? Let's go. If this is your first time watching, Pete Sweeney here with Trent Smart. We are your Emerald Coast relocation team. What we like to do on this channel is expose you to everything in Emerald Coast if you are planning on calling your home. So if this is content that you want to continue to follow, do us a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, little notification bell, give us a thumbs up if you do want to continue to follow. Also, if you are looking at purchasing real estate here in the beautiful Emerald Coast, give us a call or text the phone number right below. Right below right there, we always answer, it doesn't matter date or time. So before we dig into this video, I'm pretty much gonna try and make it as conversational as possible. What do we say when we look up, the average temperatures in the fall time? We're talking September, October, November, down in Pensacola. So I'm just gonna kind of read these ones off to you. So in September, you're looking at like highs of 87, lows of 75. In October, you got highs of 80 and lows of 65. And then in November, you got highs of 70 and lows of 55. And I think the biggest question, since we do have our local expert here who did grow up in Pensacola, is how factual is that? Is that typically kind of what we're seeing with the temperatures in the fall time?
Yeah, those averages seem pretty accurate. Now, September on certain dates can get a little warmer than that. And I have seen November and October get a little cooler than that. But it's pretty rare. That's going to be the average to look for. Honestly, it stays very comfortable. Still able to do all kinds of activities outside and do them in a pretty pleasant atmosphere, actually.
So another thing that we were kind of talking about before we record this video is you're mentioning how since the humidity does go down in the fall time, it makes it so much more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Even on the warmer days, they're not as brutal as the summer. With the summer when we've got the full humidity going on with the heat, it's pretty tough to stay outside and enjoy yourself if you're not in some sort of water. But in the fall here, there's enough heat to keep your shorts on, still wear your flip-flops, maybe have a set of sleeves that you can take on and off, but you can go outside, not sweat to death, ride your bike, run, go for walks, anything like that, and it's a real pleasant experience.
Let's go ahead and dive into that first question, and I guess the first question that I'm actually thinking myself, because we have not been here in fall yet, is can you still visit the beach in the fall time?
Absolutely, and it's a great time to visit the beach. There's different bodies of water out there, so as far as the weather on going and being on the beach, it's great. It'll be warm enough to sit down and enjoy yourself. Dip your toes in the water and feel it out. If you're on the Gulf side, it'll start to get a little bit colder, but the Sound side, with it being more shallow water, that water can, keep temperature and you possibly even get in it. I've been in it all throughout the year. It's just you're gonna have to feel it out when you're out there. But as far as just being on the beach, walking around, being in the sand, absolutely, I highly recommend it. The crowds are usually a little bit lower, and the weather's nice.
The second question that we're going to be talking to Trent about is whether or not there's still tourism in Pensacola in the fall time.
Yeah, generally, a lot of the locals around here really start hitting the beach more. There's some tourism out there. It's a beautiful beach, so people are going to be visiting it year round. But compared to the summertime, the tourism significantly drops off. You can go out there and kind of have, a lot of open spaces to yourself. Parking should open up, the lines at restaurants, all that kind of stuff. You ought to be able to just go out there and enjoy everything without having to wait or fight the crowds. Definitely a good time to check everything out if you haven't been able to do it during that time of year.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, if this is your first time watching us, we do have a couple of Airbnbs down here in Pensacola, actually more specifically Gulf Breeze, and it does slow down in our Airbnbs a little bit with that tourism. We see more so like kind of military people coming out who want to take advantage of the beach during the fall time, and that's why they stay in our Airbnbs. It's funny, even though we haven't been here in the fall time, I can tell you that like when I came here in like early spring, you go into the restaurants and like, man, this is awesome because it's not crazy busy. We're getting ready for that huge rush come summertime. And so you can go into the restaurants. You're not waiting an hour and a half to get a meal. So it's actually pretty pleasant being a local here in Pensacola when it comes to avoiding that tourism a little bit in the fall, winter, and springtime.
Yeah, I look forward to this time of year going out there. Those reasons that Peter said, and it's oyster season, which is always nice.
The third thing about fall time in Pensacola is whether or not there are still those activities and events. I'm telling you, Chelsea's training for a 5K right now on October 14th. She's pretty much going to be doing that 5K over the 3 Mile Bridge. So, and apparently they do like 5Ks every weekend or something like that.
Yeah, you can usually find a 5K race somewhere all over town on each weekend. I grew up running 5Ks all over. It's great. The weather's nice to run them. Lots of crowds, usually an event afterwards. And then there's some other events that go on around town this time of year too, now that people can start to be outside and actually enjoy it. I know we're coming up on the Seafood Festival this weekend. We're in the end of September right now. And as we get into November, I think the Arts Festival will happen downtown. Lots of good vendors out there, lots of great food, usually some music around. Definitely some good things to check out.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it's geared more towards the locals who actually do live here, where summertime, it's mainly to bring that tourism in, but then they do some events that's more community-based when we're talking about the fall, winter, and springtime. It's actually super awesome. You see people actually decide to come outside. When I was in Colorado, right, summertime is when everyone came outside, and wintertime everyone went dormant. Where here it's almost the opposite. We do see people more in the parks, coming outside, avoiding that heat a little bit. So that's pretty cool that you do have more events and activities geared more towards the locals.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll start running into people outside in all these events. Sometimes I can't even get through because I like to say hi to everybody. So yeah, definitely something there for the locals.
The fourth question that we're going to be talking to Trent about is whether or not fall is still short and t-shirt weather. And you kind of hit on this a little bit. Let's dig in a little bit deeper. Like me personally right now, well, I guess earlier this summer, it was strictly just like tank tops and shorts for me. I don't know if I'm going to still be wearing that, but it's like fall time. It's going to be a little bit cooler. Are we still going to have that shorts and t-shirt weather?
Yeah, the quick answer is yes. Yeah. There is shorts and t-shirt weather here for a couple more months. We'll start to go down a little bit in temperature. So my favorite way to go around here is shorts, shoes or flip-flops, whatever your choice, and then some sort of long sleeve that can be taken on or off. And we probably won't get to that here for another month right now. I think we're still pretty solid shorts and short sleeves. But as we get into October and November, there will be, some days where you'll want to have a hoodie, some sort of a throw or something like that, but have the t-shirt available because it can get warm in the afternoon where you want to take that bad boy off.
The fifth question that we want to ask Trent, and he actually kind of already hit on that as well too, is whether or not you're going to need a jacket in that fall time.
I would say no.
Yeah.
We will get to the point where you'll need some jackets in the winter and in the thick of winter, but for the fall, I think you want to feel the air, and it's not unpleasant at all. It's actually welcoming after the summers that we go through here. So I would say ditch the jacket for a couple of more months, keep it close by for Christmas, but my answer is no.
The sixth question that we're going to be talking about is whether or not you need to prepare your house for the fall time in Pensacola. And I'm going to tell you this, the reason that I brought this question up is like I said, we're from Colorado, Denver, Colorado. Fall time is when you prepare your house for the winter time, where you're going to blow out your sprinkler lines. You're pretty much going to get everything sealed up for that cold weather. Do you have to do anything similar to that here in Pensacola, since it is a little bit cooler than South Florida?
Not generally here during the fall time, no. I think the only thing you really may need to prep for is some Halloween decorations. But there will be a couple of times in the winter where we'll have a hard freeze coming. You'll watch the forecast and want to prepare for it, put a drip on your faucets or something like that. That's not going to happen in the fall around here. Nothing to really prepare for as far as your house goes.
That's good. The final question that we're going to be talking about is the biggest difference of moving from a colder climate into Pensacola.
I mean, the biggest difference for me is that I can give you a 99.99 guarantee there will be no snow.
There you go. That's a big one right there, because back in Colorado, that's pretty much what we're preparing for. Also, another thing that I was kind of talking to Trent about, Halloween comes around down in Denver, and it's like you have to worry about whether or not your kids are even going to be able to wear their costumes, because sometimes you got to bundle them up. That's not a concern here whatsoever. But yeah, I think the cold that comes with winter in these colder climates, you're really not going to experience it there. Yes, it is going to get a little bit cooler here as opposed to South Florida, but I mean, that's the biggest thing, is it's like, that's why so many people move here as opposed to South Florida. You can't experience those different seasons without having to bunker down during the winter time.
Yeah, different than South Florida here. We do get seasons, and it's really nice. It's something to look forward to around here. I like having the temperature go down when we get into the holidays. They just kind of go together. So that is nice, but it's not drastic. It's not going to be something like you would experience up north or sometimes out west. It's not going to be extreme where you need to worry about driving on the roads, where you need to worry about, you want your kids to have a jacket when it gets cold, but you don't need to, stress on too many of those things going into the fall here.
All right, cool guys. We're glad we could bring this information. Like I said, I personally moved from a different climate to here, so I want to make sure I put this information out so that those of you who are doing the same kind of have a little bit of info as to, I mean, ultimately you're not going to experience it until you actually experience it, but hopefully this gives you some insight so you can ponder on whether or not Pensacola is for you. If this is content that you guys are loving, do us a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, maybe give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. And if you are planning on moving into the beautiful Emerald Coast, give us a call or text the phone number right below. Right below right there. We always answer. It doesn't matter day or time. Until next time, we love you. Bye.